Welcome everyone as we learn the amazing limud of Chok Yisro for Parshas Yisro, day 3. And Yisro says, Ati Adati, now I know, Ki Gadol Hashem Mikol Elokim, that Hashem is greater than all the gods, Ki Badavar Asher Zodu, because that which they plotted aleihem befell them. In other words, everything was Mida Keneged Mida. They threw the babies in the Nile and it was full of Jewish blood, and the Nile turned into blood. They didn't allow us to bathe and we were full of lice, so they were stricken with lice. Now, when you see Mida Keneged Mida, that precludes any element of chance. So, Ka'an Yodana Arei Rav Adinoi V'les Eloha B'Arminei Arei B'Piskama Dechashiva Mitzray Lamidon Yas Yisrael Beidoninon. And Rashi explains, Ati Adati, now I know, I recognize Hashem from before, but now it's more clear. This teaches us that Yisro studied all the gods. He studied all the idolatries in order to know. He didn't let any avodah zarah that he didn't try. B'mayim dimu la'abdam, with water, the Egyptians plotted to destroy us. V'heim nevdu b'mayim, and they were destroyed in water. Asher zodu, asher hishiu, they plotted. However, the Rabbeinu Darshua, the rabbis explained homiletically, Loshen vayozed Yaakov nozid, that Yaakov made a stew. So zodu means the pot that they stewed, that they cooked, they got cooked in. Bishlu, the pot that they wanted to cook us in, they became cooked in it. Vayikach Yisro Chaysim Moshe, and Yisro, the father of Moshe, took Oila Uzvachim, burnt offering, and other sacrifices, Lelikim, to bring to God. Vayavai Aaron, and Aaron came, the Chol Ziknei Yisrael, and all the elders of Yisrael, Lecha Lechem, to eat bread, Im Chosein Moshe, with the father-in-law of Moshe, Lefnei Elikim. Says Rashi, Ola is Kimishmo, she Kula Kolol, a burnt offering that's smoked up entirely, goes up entirely to Hashem. Zvachim is Shlamim, peace offerings. Vayavai Aaron, so the question is, where's Moshe? Oh, Moshe Echanalach, where did Moshe go? V'alohu sheyatzel l'krasei. He was the one that came out to greet Yisro, v'garam lo yaskol hakaven, and caused all of the honor. He was serving them. He was serving and honoring his father-in-law. And the Targum says, "V'karav Yisro chamui d'Moshe alvan v'nichsas kutchin kadam adinai v'asa Aaron v'chol savei Yisrael l'meichel achma im chamui d'Moshe kadam adinai." Vayim emacharis, and it was on the morrow. Vayeshev Moshe lishpoid esa'am. Moshe Rabbeinu sat to judge the nation. Vayamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'arav, and the people stood by Moshe from morning until the evening. V'hava miyom debasroi v'yisei Moshe l'midan yasama v'kam ama aloi de Moshe mitzafra v'ad ramsha. Now over here, I want to give you a little bit of a preface before we learn the Rashi inside. Over here, Rashi is going to point out that the Torah here is out of order. Like it says, Ein muktam u'mucha b'Torah. Because the way the Torah has this placed, it would seem to be, it's before the Aseret Adibros, before Matan Torah, because Matan Torah is mentioned later in the Parsha. But we will see that this was after Yom Kippur, in the second year. Because when did Moshe Rabbeinu sit to judge the people? After Matan Torah, he went up and he was by Har Sinai 80 days. He came down on Yom Kippur, and the next day he judged the people. So that was after the Torah was given, and now it says this before. So let's see this Rashi inside, how Rashi sets it up. Vayim emacharas, moitzah yom kippurim hay. It had to be the day after Yom Kippur. Kach shaninu b'sifrei. So it's explained in Sifrei. Umal Mimacharis, Lamacharis Riditai Minahar. When he came down the third time, and the Rabbeinu Shalom said, Salachti Kidvarecha, I forgive them for the Chet Egel. Why? It can't be that this took place before Matan Torah. Because Moshe Rabbeinu said to Yisro, when he said, what are you doing? He said, Vadati es chuke, I let them know the statutes. From the time the Torah was given until Yom Kippur, there was no time for Moshe Rabbeinu to judge the people. Shari b'shiva asa b'tamaz, on the 17th of Tammuz, Yored, he came down with the luchas rishonis, v'shiber es aluchas, and he broke the luchas. Olamachar ola b'hashkama, he went up and he ended up staying there, v'shah shmoinim yom, and he ended up staying 80 days. V'yored b'yom HaKippur, and he came down to Yom Kippur and said, v'salachni kidvarecha. And therefore, the Ein Parshazu, this which happened on Yom Kippur, the second year, the Ein Parshazu Ksuva Keseder. It's not in order, because after this it says Matan Torah. The Luchas, it's Parshas Yisro. Shaloi Nemar V'hima Macharis At Shana Shniya. Now, even according to the Mandiyama, that Yisro came before Matan Torah. V'afla Divrei Ha'omer Yisro Kaidem Matan Torah Ba. And when it says over here, Vadata es chuke, it might mean the statutes of Mara. But Shilucha el Arza, he wasn't sent back to his land. Why? Shari Nemar Kan, Vayishalach Moshe es Chayshnai. Moshe sent his father-in-law. Umatzino b'masa degalim, and when they traveled with the degalim, Sha'amar like Moshe, Noisim anachnu el hamakam. We are traveling to this place. Al nosazoi v'isanu. Don't leave us. V'im zeh koydem matan Torah. If this happened before Matan Torah, mishesholkai v'halach. Once he sent them away, eichon matzinu shechayzer. Where do we find that he returned? Because it says that over there, by the Galim, it says Chayvav, and Chayvav was Yisro. Vim Taimer Shamloi Nema Yisro Ela Chayvav, and maybe Chayvav was Ubenoi Shel Yisro. Maybe it was the son of Yisro and not Yisro. No, who Chayvav who Yisro? Chayvav is Yisro. Sharik Sibim Nei Chayvav Chaysein Moshe. Chayvav the father-in-law of Moshe. The children of Chayvav the father-in-law of Moshe. So it must be that even though this took place after Matan Torah, there's no chronological order in the different parashiyos in the Torah. Now, Vayeshev Moshe v'yamad ha'am. Now, what troubled Yisro was that Moshe Rabbeinu was sitting the whole time while everybody was standing. Yoshev Kemelech v'kulan oimdin. He was sitting like a king and everybody stood. V'hoksha adavar liyisroi sheyemezalzel b'kvoidon shel Yisrael. He was neglected the honor of Klal Yisrael. That everybody was standing. V'yichichoy al kach, and he rebuked him. Shenemar madua ata yoshev levadecha. You're sitting alone. V'kulan nitzavim. They're all standing. Now it says min haboyker v'ad ha'arav. So it sounds like Moshe did it from morning until evening, but that can't be, because it says that he spent a lot of time teaching Klal Yisrael Torah. And he taught it different times. First he taught it to Aaron, and then he taught it a bunch of times. So Avshalomer came. How could it be that he was judging from the morning until the evening? Elakol dayan shedon din emes lamitai. Whoever, any judge that judges in the full truth, afilu sha'achas, even 1 hour, it's as if he learned Torah the whole day, and as if he became a partner to Hashem in the Ma'aseh Bereishis, where it also says the lashon of Erev Ad Boker. And the father of Moshe saw what he did for the people. What is this which you're doing to the people? You're sitting alone, and the whole nation stands from morning until evening. Moshe said to his father-in-law, for the people come to me, lidroi shelikim, to seek Hashem. Ki yavoi, ki ba, when they come, lashon hava, in present tense. Lidroi shelikim, what does it mean to seek Hashem? Kitaguma, limitpa ulpan, to ask for learning. Lishol Talmud, to inquire a lesson, mepi agvura, from Hashem, like it says by Rivka, when she didn't know why the children were running to the church and to the shul. Vatelech lidrosh es Hashem. She went to Shem to learn what Hashem wants. This is the original idea of Das Torah. Now we continue the Nevuah of Yeshaya, where, if you remember, Yeshaya told them that Hashem says that you won't hear, you won't see, your heart is fat. V'omer, so Yeshaya asked Hashem, Ad Mosai Adonai, how long will this sad situation last? V'yomer, and Hashem said sadly, Ad Asher Imsha'u Orin, the cities will be made desolate, Me'ein Yoshev, without inhabitants, Uvatim Me'ein Adam, and the houses will be without people, V'adama Tisha Eshmama, and the land will be left in ruins, V'richak Hashem Esa Adam, and Hashem will distance them from their homes, V'rabo Ha'azuva, and great will be the land forsaken, B'kerev Haaretz, in the midst of the land. V'oid ba Assyria, and there will yet be a tenth. V'shava v'hoisa lavoyer, and they will return and destroy that as well. Ka'ela v'cha'alain, like a oak and an elm, or an elm and an oak. Asher b'shaleches matzeves, that it'll throw off its leaves, and all that's left is its trunk. All that's left is the trunk. So, amongst Klal Yisrael, I will refine and remove all the wickedness, and Zerah Kodesh, just the righteous seed, the tzaddikim, Matzafta, its trunk will be left. Vayibimei, now the Navi lets us know about a milchama. Vayibimei Ochaz, and it'll be in the days of Ochaz, who was wicked. Ben Yosim, Ben Uzziyo, they were righteous kings. Melech Yehuda. Ola Ritzin Melech Aram Ufekach ben Remalyo. There will come against them Ritzin, the king of Aram. Fekach ben Remalyo, Melech Yisrael, and Fekach ben Remalyo, that was from the kings of the north, and they will come up Yerushalayim l'milchama aleh, but v'lo yachal l'hilachem aleh. They won't be able to conquer Yehuda because of the schus avos. That's what Rashi tells us. The schus avos. By Yugad l'beis David Lamar, and it was told to the house of David, that's the Malchei Yehuda, Nocha Aram al Ephraim, that Aram made a pact with Ephraim, the king of the north, with Malchus Yisrael. Vayona levavai, and his heart shook. That's the heart of Ochaz, quaked, shook. Ulevav amai, kinoya atzayam ibnei ruach. It shook so violently like the trees of the forest shake from wind. Now we continue with the lesson of Shlomo HaMelech in Mishlei. Ben Chacham Yisamachav, a father rejoices over a wise son. Uchsil Adam, but the foolishness of man, Boze Imai, is a disgrace to his mother. Iveles Simcha Lechasar Leiv, foolishness, silliness, is happiness to one that lacks heart. He finds happiness in silly things. But V'ish Tavuna, a man of understanding, Yasher Leches, walks straight. He's not interested in foolish things. Hafer Machashavais Be'ein Side. If a person doesn't take counsel beforehand, his plans are annulled. Without counsel, his plans amount to nothing. But when a person takes advice, tokum, then their course of action is upheld. Simcha le'ish b'man efiv. There's happiness to a person when his mouth speaks gently. When his mouth speaks gently, people like him, and there's joy. V'davar be'itay matayv. A thing in its proper time, how good it is. I've explained this is a deep idea that if we could say that right now I'm doing what I was meant to be doing, like for example, if you light the Hanukkah candles 45 minutes after Shkia, unless you're at solo work with a code call, you know you're doing what you were meant to do at that time. A woman that lights candles 18 minutes before Shkia, davar be'itay matayv, a thing in its time, how good it is. And the more we could say, generally when you learn Torah, if you don't have a mitzvah she'ein yachal asas hayidei acherim, that's what you should be doing. So that's davar be'itay matayv. Oira chayim lamala lamaska. Now this means that the way of life above is prepared for the one who acts with intelligence. Laman sur, in order that he avoids mishol mata, the netherworld, the Gehenim from below. So a person that has seichel, he has a road of life waiting for him above. And now we learned the first parak of Ksuvas. We finished last week on the third day, Masechtas Yavamas, and now we start Ksuvas. Besula nisis liyayim haravi. A besula should get married on Wednesday. Now this is because the Bezdin met on Monday and Thursday. And we want that if the husband doesn't find her to be a besula, he should go the next morning right away to the Bezdin before he calms down. And this way, the report will go out, and if people know that she was Mizana when she was an Arusa, because she was an Arusa for 12 months, then he's forbidden to live with her. If they would get married on a different day, maybe he would cool down. After all, it's his bride, and he won't go to court. Now you'll say, so why can't they get married Sunday? Because there's Bezdin on Monday. Because you need 3 days to prepare a nice wedding. Can't prepare on Shabbos. Almana could get married on Thursday, because there's no Tainus Besulim. And the reason why we wanted to get married on the Thursday is because we want the husband to at least spend 3 days with her. Take off 3 days. So we'll take off the day of the wedding. Friday is Erev Shabbos, and then the Shabbos. Now, why is it that a Basula gets married on Wednesday? Shepamayim b'Shabbos batei dinim yoshvim b'Yoros. They meet in the cities twice a week. B'Yom HaSheni on Monday, uvayam hachamishi, she'im hayu loitainis besulim, so that if he didn't find the virginity, hayamashkim lebezdin, he would still be upset and go right away to the bezdin Thursday morning. Besula, ksuvasa masayim, Besula, her ksuva is 200 zuz. The remez for this, the Panech Rosa says, is because it says Kemoyar Abesulos, and Kemoyar is Kama Reish, 200. Valmona, Mana. That's why she's called an Almana. Almana, she doesn't get the extra 100. Or Elmana, she gets 100. Besula Almana Grusha V'chalutza Mina Erisin. If she's a virgin that's either a widow or a divorcee, or a chalutza only after engagement, so he never slept with her, so she's still a virgin, ksuvasa masayin, v'yeshlem tainis besulim. And if the husband doesn't find her a virgin, he could say, lo matzasi besulim. Hagiyoris v'ashruya v'ashivcha, a convert, a captive, or a maidservant, sheniptu, that was redeemed, the captive was redeemed, she was converted, v'sheniskayru, or v'shenishtakru, or she was emancipated, p'chusis mebnai shal shanim, less than 3 years, so even if it was somebody slept with her, her besulim would grow back, v'yayim echad, so ksuvas and masayim, her ksuv is 200, and if the husband doesn't find her besulim, he could come to Bezdin with the taina loy matzasi besulim, v'yeshlam tainis besulim. Hagadol sheba ala katana, an adult that sleeps with the katana. Now here we're talking about where she was less than 3 years old in a day. The katan sheba ala gdaila, or a boy that's less than 9-year-old in a day sleeps with a gdaila. Or mukas eitz, or if she lost her hymen to a splinter. Ksuva san masayim. The ksuva is 200. Divrei Meir. V'chacham ma'imim mukas eitz. Even if she lost her hymen to a splinter, ksuva mana. Ksuva is only 100. Psula almana grusha v'chalutza minan nesuin. If she was a virgin that's widowed or divorced or chalutza after being married, so even though she's a basula, but since she was married already, ksuvas and mana, and since she was married, so there's the possibility that the first husband slept with her. Ve'ein lahem tainis habasulim. Similarly, hagiyoris v'ashvuya v'ashivcha, a convert, a captive, or a maidservant, sheniptu v'sheniskayru v'shenishtakru, that got redeemed, converted, or emancipated, yeseris al b'nai shal sham v'yam echad, more than 3 years old. So it's likely that they slept before they became a Jew, or when they were in captivity, or when she was a shivcha. So therefore, ksuvas and mana. We assume she's not a virgin. The ksuv is 100, and the man that marries her cannot have a taina besulim. Ve'ein lahem tainis besulim. Now, in Yehuda, they had a custom that before the marriage, they were alone together, in order that they shouldn't be too bashful on the night of the wedding. Because of that, if he was by his father-in-law in Yehuda without witnesses, the chassan on the night of the marriage can't say, I didn't find her a basula, because he was alone with her, and maybe things got out of hand. Achas almanas Yisrael, v'achas almanas kayin, whether she's a widow from a Yisrael or a widow from a kayin, ksuvas and mana, her ksuv is only a mana. However, the Kohanim made a higher standard for themselves, since their yichas is very prestigious, that a virgin got 400 instead of 200. Best in Shel Kohanim are you giving the besula arba meis zuz, 400 zuz. Well, and the Chacham did not block that. Now, I made a bracha already, Rabbi Isai. Hano says Isha, if a man marries a woman, v'loy matzah b'sulim, and he didn't find her a virgin, he Meres, she says, Misherastani nenasti. After I was engaged to you, I got raped. And therefore, when you married me, I was a psula. When you were mekadesh me. And therefore, nistachva sodecha, it's mazloch garam, it's your bad luck. And your field got swamped. And he says, no, like he, it happened before you got engaged. And therefore, you were not honest with me. And you gave me a mekachtais. I thought you were a virgin. And therefore, I don't have to give you a ksuva. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer says she has a cheskes kashrus. And therefore, we believe her that she was raped while she is a Arusa. Rabbi Yeshua, no, we don't believe her. The fact that she doesn't have a virginity now, the chazaka de hashta is that she's a ba'ula, and therefore it's a mekach tois, and she loses her ksuva, ad shalei tisaris, it happened before they got engaged, v'tatu, and she misled him, ad shetovi ra'ilad v'reh, until she proves that she was raped after she got engaged. Hi meres, mukas eitzani, I lost my hymen to a splinter. No, a man slept with you, and it's a mekach tois. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer, once again, we believe her. Rabbi Yeshua, we don't believe her. That somebody slept with her, unless she brings proof. Now, this is a different case. Now, even though it says she was speaking, but it's only a euphemism. If we saw this woman alone with a man, now we don't know who the man is. We want to know if she's kosher l'kahuna. Or maybe the man was a shady character, a mamzer, a nasan. That would disqualify her from kahuna. Amrullah, we said to her, Ma tiva shalzu. What's the nature of this man? So she says, Ish ploini v'kayin with so-and-so. Kayin doesn't have to be a kayin, but it means he's a miyuchis. She's believed and she can marry a kain. Rabbi Yeshua to a nasin that's a givaini or a mamzer that disqualifies from her from kuna. Now here, she's pregnant. Now we ask her, what's the nature of this child? What's the nature of this child? We don't know. There's no husband in sight. So she says, Me'ish pleini v'kainu. It's from so-and-so, and he's a miyukas, like a kain. He's good lineage. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Eliezer, she's believed. Rabbi Yeshua, she is forbidden to a kain, and the child is forbidden. Until she could bring proof otherwise. Amar Rabbi Yaisi, Ma'isa b'tinoikis sheyard l'malos mayim min ha'ayin. There was an incident with a young girl. She went to draw water from a well, Venenza, and she was raped. And now the question is she allowed to marry a kayin? Amar Rabbi Yechim Nuri Yemroiv Anshia Ir Masiyan L'Kuna. If the majority of the people in the city are such that they wouldn't disqualify from kuna, they're not psulim in the city, Harizut Tinasi L'Kuna, then we go bus arrive, and she's allowed to marry to kuna. And now we learn the Gemara in Ksuvas, a nice piece of Agada to Gemara. Dorish Bar Kapara. Bar Kapara taught, greater are the deeds of the righteous, more than the creation of heaven and earth. My hand found earth, and my right hand spread out the heavens. Only one hand. A place for your dwelling you made Hashem. Mikdash Hashem, the sanctuary of Hashem, which was made by the tzaddikim, kainenu yodecha, is established with your hands. So Heishiv Bavli Echad, one Babylonian asked Reb Chia Shmai, it says about the world also 2 hands. V'yabeshes Yadav Yotzo. The dry land was created with Yadav, 2 hands. So the Gemara says Yodai Ksiv. It's written without the Yud, so it's read 1 hand. V'ksiv Yitzaru, created in plural. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Yotzru Etzba Oisav. The plural is the fingers of 1 hand. Kidichsiv ki era shamecha, I saw your heavens. Maisei Etzba Osecha, the work of your fingers. That's why it's plural, because many fingers, but it's 1 hand. Yoreach v'koichavim, the moon and the stars, asher kananta, which you established. Meisvei, Hashemayim misaprim kvoid kel, the heavens relate the glory of God. Umaisei yodov, and the work of his hands, magarakia. So again it says, hands, hachikamer. Maisei yedayim shel tzadikim, the handiwork of the tzadikim, mi magid. What will show the handiwork of the righteous? Harakia. Because when it rains, it shows that the righteous prayed. Umay niyamatar, because it rains when the righteous pray for rain. Dorish bar kapara, maydich sivi yosei tia lecha al azeinecha. You should have a peg or a paddle amongst your equipment. Now, the literal pshat in the pasuk is that since if they ate from traveling nomads in the midbar and they had to go to the bathroom, so they had to go out from the Ananiya Kovet because they couldn't go to the bathroom in the Ananiya Kovet, and they had to have a paddle to cover their excrement. However, the Gemara says, Al tikre azei necha, your equipment, ela alois necha. You should put a peg in your ear. She'im yishma adam davar she'ena hagan. If somebody starts saying lashon hara, yaniach etzboi ba'aznav. Put your fingers in your ears to not listen to it. V'hainu d'amar Rabbi Eliezer mipnei ma etzba oisav shel adam doimos liyasedos. Why do people's fingers look like pegs? Now the Gemara is not sure what the question is. My time, what do you mean? If you want to know why are the fingers split and not like a mitten, there's a reason for that. Because kol chada v'chada lemilsa avide. Every finger has its role. Damamar zu zeres, the pinky is to measure a halachic span from the spread of the thumb to the pinky. Zu kemitza, the finger next to the pinky, is to take the kemitza, the 3 fingers of the flour from the mincha. Zu amma, the big finger in the middle, that's to measure a cubit, an amma from the elbow to the end of the big finger. Zu etzba, the finger next to the thumb, that's the etzba, which is used by the kohen to place the blood by karbanos. And zeh goydel, the thumb, which is used for the blood of the carbon mitzayra on the thumb of the mitzayra, the bayin yadai, the big right thumb. So each one has to be split for a reason. What it means, why are they like a peg? Elamata mishufais kiyasedos. Why do the fingers taper like a peg? They're tapered at the top. Why is that? You know why? Shem yishma adam davar she'ena hagan, so that if you hear something not good, yaniach etzba'isa ba'aznav. You should put your finger into the ear. Tana de Rabbi Yishmael. Mibnei ma oizen kuloi kasha. Why is the ear all hard? Va'al yaraka, but the lobe of the ear is soft. Shem yishma adam davar she'ena hagan. If you hear something not good, yochif alya l'seichi. You should take the lobe of the ear and put it into the ear to block it. Tana Rabbanan al yishmiya adam la'oznav dvarim b'teilim. A person should not listen with his ears to idle, worthless things, because the flesh of the ear burns first before all the other limbs. And therefore, we should be very careful with the ear. It's something that's very easy to sin with. Very easy. You know, your eye you could close. Your mouth you could close. Your ear you can't close. It's a big problem. Now, I always thought about this Gemara, that the fact of the matter is if you try to put your fingers in your ears, it's not going to stop you from hearing. And actually, I found that if you put the lobe into your ear, it actually magnifies the speech. It doesn't cause it not to be heard. Try it, you'll see. It actually magnifies the speech. But I think that the pshat in the Gemara is that Hashem added extra parts of our anatomy, the tapered fingers, and the extra part on our ear. And we say to ourselves, look what Hashem did. He made on our anatomy 2 reminders not to listen to what we're not supposed to listen to. And I thought maybe this is a stretch, so if you don't like it, it's okay. Mifal Chalka Alami doesn't take responsibility for this pshat. It's not the pshat of the organization. I take responsibility. But I always felt that this is the reason why women wear earrings. Because it says 10 measures of speech came down to the world, 9 were taken by women. And therefore they put a decoration on the lobe to remember even more its lesson. The lesson not to listen to what you're not supposed to listen to. Now the Zohar continues talking about what we learned in the last Chok, the importance of the 3 Sudas on Shabbos. This Zohar explains a little bit differently. The previous Zohar, we said that Friday night represents Atika, the wisdom of the ancient wisdom, which is above Yud Kei Vav Kei. This Zohar seems to learn that that's the Shabbos day meal, which is in sync with that which the Mishnah Berurah says, that the Shabbos day meal is even more chashuv than the Friday night meal. Let's see the Zohar inside. Amar Rabbi Elazar la'avui. Rabbi Elazar said to his father, Rabbi Elazar ben Reb Shimon, so Rabbi Elazar said to his father, Ilun sudusei, these 3 meals on Shabbos, heich mistaknon, how are they hinted to in the pasuk, and what is their order of the kavanas that we should have? Amalei leil yudishabsa, the Friday night meal, ksiv v'hir kafticha al bama seyaretz, I will ride you over the high places of the earth. And bei belelia misborcha matronisa, and on Friday night, the matronisa, that's the bechina of Malchus, is blessed. V'kulu chakal tapuchin, and all of the field of apples, which is this is all the madregas of the midah of Malchus, which is called the chakal tapuchin, is blessed. Umisborche psorei debarnosh, and from it is blessed the table of man, and v'nishmasa itaisvis, he gets then the neshama yasera. V'ahu lelya, and in the night chedva de matronisa, it's the joy of the queen of the Shabbos Malka. Uboi barnosh lemechadei b'chedvasa, and a person has to be happy with happiness. Olamechel sudasa de matronisa, and to eat the meal of the queen. B'yuma de Shabsa, on the Shabbos day, b'sudasa tinyana, the second meal, ksiv oz tis anag al Hashem. And if you remember, we darshan al Hashem, which is a higher level than Yud Kei Vav Kei. Al Hashem vade, above the Yud Kei Vav Kei, a different bechina. Dehi shaita isgalya atika kadisha, the ancient holiness, which we said, soy de kula, secret of everything. The kulon, omen, and all of the words, b'chedvasa ushlima, is with joy and perfection. The chedvasa datika of dinan, and this is the joy of the ancient kedusha, usidasa dilehu vade, and it is its meal. Besudasa tlisai, in the third meal, the Shapsa, ksiv achalticha nachas Yaakov avicha, I will feed you the inheritance of Yaakov your father. Doi sudasa de zer anpin, that's the suda of the zer anpin, where the Svirais get all kinds of blessings, the Have B'Shleimusa, which is in its perfection, and like we said, all 6 days of the week get a bracha. We said that Sunday is Chesed, and Monday is Gevura, and Tuesday is Teferetz, and Wednesday is Netzach, and Thursday is Haid, and Friday is Yesod. The Kulu Shita Yoimin Ma'ahu Shlima Mizbarchen. All 6 days get blessing from this perfection. Oboy Barnosh Lamechadei Besudase, and a human has to rejoice in this meal. La'ashlama Elain Sudasai, and to complete these meals. De'inan Sudasai Memnusa Shleimasa. These are the meals of perfect faith. The Zara Kadisha the Yisrael, the holy seed of Klal Yisrael, the Memnusa Ilah, with the faith in above. Dadil Hani, it is our joy. V'lo da Amanoiv de Avodah Zarah. It's not to be practiced by the Goyim. Right, to begin at Kachama Beini Bnei Yisrael, only between me and the Bnei Yisrael. Tochazi, B'sudasa Ilan, in these meals, Ishtamoidon Yisrael, Klal Yisrael demonstrates the Inon Bnei Malka, that they're the children of the king. The Inon Meichalo de Malka, they're from the chamber of the king. The Inon Bnei Memnusa, they're people of faith. Oman de Pogim Chad Sudasmi now, and if somebody blemishes even one of these meals, Arze Pigimosa Le'ilah, he causes a blemish above. The Arze Garmei, and because of it, he shows the Lavin Bnei Malki Lo. He's not a member of the retinue of the king. The Lavin Bnei Heichalo de Malku, he's not from the chamber of Hashem. The Lavin Zara Kadisha de Yisrael, he's not from the holy seed of Yisrael. And then V'yov and Alei, they throw against him. You know, it says that the 3 meals save a person. Shel Gehenim. And then B'yov and Alei, they put upon him Chumra de Tlas Milan, the Chumra of these 3 punishments, Dina de Gehenim, Chevlei Mashiach, and Mechamas Goy Gemagog. The Tochazi, this is very interesting. We learned this already. It's repeated here. It's unusual. The Tochazi, B'kulu Shar Zimnin V'chagim, other seasons like Rosh Chodesh and festivals, Boy Barnosh Lochtei, you have to rejoice on L'mechtei L'miskanei, and cause the poor to rejoice, give tzedakah for the poor. V'yu Chadei B'lechudai, but if he takes care of only himself, V'lo Yov L'miskanei, and he doesn't take care of the poor, Anshe Sagi, it's a very big punishment. He's only caring for himself, and he doesn't allow others to rejoice. Alek Siv, referring to him, the pasuk says, "V'zeirisi perish al pneichem," I will scatter dung on your faces. Perish chageichem, the dung of your festivals. It's like dung to me if you don't share with others. But if he rejoices on Shabbos, even if he doesn't give to others, there's no punishment. Like other Rosh Chodesh and festivals. The dung of your festivals, perish chageichem kama, v'loy perish shabaschem. Uksiv chotcheichem u'mayadechem sana nafshi. Your festivals and your Rosh Chodesh and your festivals I can hate if you do it only for your lonesome. V'ilu Shabbos le'ka'amar. Ubihine kak siv beini ubein b'nei Yisrael. Even though it's only between me and the Bnei Yisrael, a person isn't punished even if he doesn't help others on the Shabbos. Now I said that this is the most Peladik Musar that I've learned to date in the Chok. It's very scary in a world that we live in. We're looking at women is so available. The Musar warns us it could be a very devastating and catastrophic result on a person if they get addicted to look at women. Hamistakel b'noshim lehanos mehem. If a person looks at women to enjoy their flesh, ra'asai rabba, it's a great evil. V'yaveira gufa, it's not that it could lead to sin. It's a sin in itself. You shouldn't turn after your heart or after your eyes, which it's natural for you to lust after. It's a sin in his hand. Oh boy, this is so scary. He will have to return for this crime as a reincarnation, to become a bird that's called Ra. This bird lusts with its sight. You shouldn't follow your heart and your eyes. Because of this sin, you'll have to be, because that's what it says afterwards. Afterwards, you'll have to come back to zon, to lust, as the bird Raya. Because of atem zayin megilgul b'riya achareim, after shaleinechem hamistak lamata, after your eyes that sin by looking now. V'amistakel b'noshim, one who habitually looks at women, Kasav Gedoil HaMoirim, the great teacher, the Rabbeinu Yaina, in Shari Tshuva writes, Shenikra Mumma L'Davar Echad. He is considered an apostate in one thing. V'kol oisen tzuras shenene b'ri asam, and all of these images that he had pleasure with, Hamalach HaMavis vian b'shas petirasai, the Malach HaMavis brings them when he dies, and mocks him with it. Milvad shemetame nafshe, besides that he contaminates himself, and that comes to wasting seed. V'gam kishemoylid yeled, when he has a child, yavoi lachshav b'isen tzuras, he's going to think about those images. Ve'zeu segula, and that's considered lias nechshav noyef be'ishtay. It's as if he committed adultery, because he's having in mind something else and not his wife. V'yatzim mizeh yeladim, and it could cause children ashehein behem kol mum, they have blemishes. Pritze adar, they could be wild. Holken achrei aneim, following their eyes. Kamoy kamoy, they will become like their father. Aval Yisrael kedoshim, but Klal Yisrael is holy. Noyigim be'ema v'yira Hashem al pneim, they behave with awe and fear of Hashem. V'Hashem aleihem yeroeh, and Hashem appears before them. See Hashem. V'yizborchu b'zera kodesh l'mineim, and they'll be blessed with holy seed of the same type. V'tzetzoeim leineim, then they'll see their descendants before them. Lasais ritzayin kaineim, doing the will of their Creator. Wow, strong words. And finally, we finish with the Rambam in Hilchas Kriya Shema. Hakari Kriya Shema, when you say Kriya Shema, Mavarach lefanei lacharei, you make brachas before Kriya Shema, and a bracha afterwards. B'yom Mavarach shtayim lefanei, We make the bracha of Yitzer Ar and Ava Rabba or Ava Soilam before, V'achas Lachareh and Gal Yisrael afterwards. Uvalayla Mavar Shtaim Lefanecha, Amar Varavim, and Ava Soilam. Ushtaim Lachareh, which is Gal Yisrael and Ashkivenu, at least. Bracha Rishayna Shalafaneh B'Yayim, the first bracha beforehand in the day is Yitzer Ar, or Chok, created day and night. Or bracha Shniya Ava Soilam Aftanu. V'Shalachareh is Emes V'Yatza. Or bracha Rishayna Shalafaneh B'Layla is the bracha Marav Aravim. Shniya La Ava Soilam B'Yisrael Amcho Afta. Or bracha Rishayna Shalacharecha is Emes V'Emuna, and the Shniya La is Ashkivenu. Bracha Rishayna Shalafaneh Bein B'Yayim Bein B'Layla, both the first bracha in the day and in the night, Pesach B'Babarach V'Chaisim B'Babarach, right? So it starts with a bracha, and it ends bracha to Hashem Yitzer Ha'Moiros. The night also, bracha to Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Asher B'Dvarei Marav Aravim. So it starts with a bracha and ends with a bracha. Bracha to Hashem Hamarav Aravim. Ushar Birchaiseh, the rest of the brachas, Chayseim B'Chol Achas Mem B'Barach, they end with a bracha. Bracha to Hashem Abaycha B'Am Yisrael Be'ava. Bracha to Hashem Shemer Amo Yisrael La'ad. But ve'ein lem psicha b'barach, but they don't start with a bracha. It starts Emes V'Yatzav, it starts Emes V'Emuna, it starts Avos Olam, it starts Hashkivenu. We want to thank you for joining us and wish you a wonderful day.